Good morning, everyone. This is Matt Sexton with the Florida Department of Transportation's CAD office. Welcome to part 2 of our continuing series of webinars on getting started with FDOT Connect for Open Roads Designer. As we start today, I'd like to point out there is a question and answer dialogue for you to ask questions. My team is here to answer those questions via the Q&A dialogue. So if you have questions, go ahead and put those into that Q&A dialogue as part of GoToWebinar. If we have some time at the end, I will field any questions that might not have been answered along the way. If there are any questions that don't get answered today, we will be compiling the questions and creating a Q&A document for this webinar. The webinar is being recorded and it will be posted on our website along with the Q&A document under the section entitled Posted Webinars. I'll show you that a little bit later in the webinar. That should be posted within a week or so of the webinar. So hopefully I've answered that question, which is one of the most common questions we get is this being recorded and when will it be available? So the answer is yes, it is being recorded and it will be available within about a week. And I'll show you exactly where you can find that webinar. So I will take a moment at the end of this presentation to go and show you those locations on the website, and I'm going to go ahead and kick things off. So in today's webinar, we will focus on the following topics. What is FDOT Connect? The frequently asked questions about FDOT Connect, installing and launching FDOT Connect, how to get support for FDOT Connect. This is very much an introduction webinar. We won't be going into too much detail about the functionality in the workspace itself, but we will be taking some time to talk about how it's configured and how to get started in FDOT Connect. Part 2 and 3 of this series are sort of relatively introductory. This series will continue to get more technical and in-depth with regard to the FDOT workflow in Open Roads Designer with the subsequent webinars. And you can find that on our scheduled webinars page. There's a list of those webinars where you can find a brief description of what they're about. So, what is FDOT Connect? FDOT Connect is the Florida Department of Transportation's new CAD workspace for Bentely Open Roads Designer and other Bentely Connect Edition applications. Much like FDOT SS4 for Bently Select Series 4 products such as MicroStation and Power Geopack, FDOT Connect provides a suite of tools, resources, and standards for creating FDOT projects in Open Roads Designer Connect Edition and again, other Connect Edition products from Bentely. It is certified for use with Open Roads Designer Connect Edition version 10.07.00.56 and can also be used with MicroStation Connect Edition, SUDA, GINT, and of course the production release of FDOT Connect contains the alpha testing resources for Bentely OpenBridge Modeler. So it's not a full workspace yet for OpenBridge Modeler, but there are some alpha testing resources. If you did read the installation notes, the very first installation notes, you will have noted that I had a typo in there about what the certified version of Open Roads Designer is. I believe I had it 10.00.07.56. So if you had a question about which one was the certified version of it, it's 10.07.00.56. Congratulations for those of you who found that typo. FDOT Connect was released on July 26th of 2019, that's this year of course, and is available for download from the FDOT CAD office website at www.fdot.gov/CAD, CADD. You scroll down the page and look for the link to CAD software under the most requested section of links, then look for FDOT Connect in the list of available software downloads. The CAD office posted an update to the software on Friday, August 9th. So this update corrects a number of bugs that were reported by users after the initial release. If you installed the initial production release of FDOT Connect, you might want to consider downloading the new update. You'll have to uninstall the previous version and install the update. If you have any questions about that, please contact us. We'll be happy to step you through that. As with previous FDOT workspaces, the FDOT Connect workspace can be installed as a standalone workstation or as a client server configuration. We're going to be going over those different types of installations and how to make those happen during this webinar. So a frequently asked questions document is available from the FDOT Connect download page. It's part of the installation guide. These frequently asked questions are also included in the installation guide that's at the root of the FDOT Connect workstation and server installation folders. And I'd like to take a minute to go through these questions because they're kind of helpful to get them out of the way so that you may not have additional questions. I might be able to answer questions before they happen. So, can projects that were started in Select Series 4 be converted to OpenRoads Designer and FDOT Connect? No. If you start a project in SS4, you must finish that project in SS4. The CAD office has no plans to support migrating projects from SS4 to ORD and vice versa. To switch to ORD from SS4 would require you to basically start with a new project and recreate any sort of design files that you had now in the OpenRoads software. When can I start using FDOT Connect on FDOT projects? At this time, projects are already being started in FDOT Connect and OpenRoads Designer at the discretion of the FDOT District Project Managers. So check with your District Project Manager before beginning work on a new project. Ask whether the project will be designed in FDOT SS4 or FDOT Connect. And of course, like I said in the previous slide, bear in mind that files and data cannot be converted from FDOT SS4, Power Geopack Select Series 4, to FDOT Connect for OpenRoads Designer. So if your project was started in FDOT SS4, again, it will need to be finished in SS4. Can computers have both FDOT SS4 and FDOT Connect loaded? The answer is yes. FDOT SS4 for MicroStation Select Series 4 or Power Geopack Select Series 4 can coexist on the same machine with FDOT Connect for OpenRoads Designer. There's currently no requirement to remove FDOT SS4 from any machine to begin using FDOT Connect and OpenRoads Designer, but bear in mind that you can only have one installation of each. FDOT SS4 with a certified version of MicroStation Select Series 4 or Power Geopack Select Series 4, and then FDOT Connect with the certified version of the Connect Edition software, such as OpenRoads Designer. You can have multiple platforms with each workspace. That's to say you could have MicroStation and Power Geopack both Select Series 4 with FDOT SS4, and then you could have MicroStation Connect Edition and OpenRoads Designer Connect Edition with FDOT Connect. Not necessarily sure why you would want to do that except for managing your license usage, but that is possible as well. But you can't have, FDOT SS4 MR6 and then MR8 and then FDOT Connect, and you can't run FDOT SS4 with the Connect Edition software. It doesn't work with OpenRoads Designer. So hopefully that clarifies that question. When will FDOT require that projects be started in FDOT Connect and no longer allow projects to begin in FDOT SS4? The Department of Transportation's Production Support Office released Bulletin PSM 19-01, mandating that all projects starting after January 1st of 2021 be designed using FDOT Connect and OpenRoads Designer Connect Edition. And you can see a link to that bulletin right here in the slide, so I'll leave that on screen for just a minute. So if you want to copy down that link and read that bulletin. So you're looking at a little bit less than a year and a half to get ready to start projects in FDOT Connect, if you have any hesitation to that. But again, that'll be at the discretion of the district project managers. When will FDOT specific training material be available? This is an excellent question. I'm going to spend a little bit of time on it. If you have questions about my answers to this question, feel free to put them in the question and answer dialogue, and we will get to those. So the answer is FDOT's CAD office has already begun revising training guides and developing curriculum for FDOT Connect and OpenRoads Designer. The material will hopefully be available by January. Starting in early 2020, the CAD office will also begin a series of 3-day hands-on training sessions in each district. These training sessions will specifically be reserved for FDOT district design staff and consultants that are working on an active FDOT Connect project in OpenRoads Designer. To register for the training session, you'll need to provide the FPID number for the project in question, as well as the name of your project manager. The 3-day sessions will be sort of update training and appropriate for designers who are already familiar with the FDOT workflow. Essentially, the course will contain a very condensed curriculum to familiarize attendees with what's new, what's different, what's the same in the workflow. The training would not be appropriate for beginning designers with no experience with FDOT projects. This is not the full FDOT curriculum condensed into 3 days. There's no way, of course, to go through all of our curriculum. Not from start to finish. So this is not a beginner's guide to CAD in FDOT Connect. This is, you already know what you're doing in FDOT SS4, so you would be able to learn how to adapt those skills to the FDOT Connect environment. Question we get a lot: what is the Worksets folder? I know I'm sort of jumping in this. You may have seen this last week with John Hazlip's webinar about survey, but the Worksets folder, what is the Worksets folder? And the answer is, instead of projects, OpenRoads Designer uses the term Worksets. If your project folder for FDOT SS4 was C Projects or CE Projects, it'll now be C Worksets. This helps to keep the FDOT SS4 files from getting confused with the FDOT Connect files. We will talk about this a little bit more as I get into creating a workset later on in this webinar. Oh, great. We're on to installing FDOT Connect. Well, what's the first step to installing FDOT Connect? The first step to installing FDOT Connect is to read the installation guide thoroughly, and I cannot stress this enough. This is particularly important because some of the very specific steps that must be taken during the installation process to ensure that the software is configured correctly. Before taking any additional steps, read the installation guide. And you can see the installation guide is located on the same page from which you can download FDOT Connect. You can see that here above the client server workstation installations, there's an installation guide. Please read that. I spent a lot of time writing that, and it's a good read, very informative. And an important note: if you participated in the alpha or beta testing of FDOT Connect or the alpha version of FDOT ORD, which was the original name that we were using for the workspace, it is critical that you completely uninstall any alpha or beta software, delete your Worksets folder, and remove anything that is remaining after the uninstall before proceeding to install the production release of FDOT Connect. This is really important. I was doing some troubleshooting last week or so, and we had some problems with the workspace. I was trying to figure out what was going on, and I looked in their list of installed programs, and sure enough, they still had the alpha software installed. That causes problems. You're going to want to uninstall any alpha or beta software that you may have been testing before installing the production release of FDOT Connect. So in what order should the various software be installed? Depending on whether you're performing a standalone workstation installation or a client-server installation, the installation order may vary. For a standalone workstation, you will install the OpenRoads Designer first. During this installation, follow the additional configuration steps outlined in the FDOT Connect installation guide and specify the custom configuration location in which you will ultimately install FDOT Connect Workstation. In other words, although you're installing OpenRoads Designer first, you need to have already decided on the location that you're going to install FDOT Connect software. For a typical standalone workstation, this is simply going to be C FDOT Connect right there, just like you have your C FDOT SS4. For a client server installation, first install the FDOT Connect server install on your CAD server. You can then install OpenRoads Designer on your client machine, following the additional steps described in the FDOT Connect installation guide to specify the custom configuration location as the FDOT Connect folder on your CAD server. Finally, install the FDOT Connect client software on your client machines. So to summarize, you install the FDOT Connect server first so that you know where the location is. Then you install OpenRoads Designer on the client machine, pointing OpenRoads Designer to the server during that installation, and then you install FDOT Connect client software. Once again, a typical client installation would be to the C FDOT Connect folder, like you'd have your FDOT SS4 client installation would be right there on C, FDOT Connect client would be there right there on C as well. And of course, after any installation, I'm probably going to say this several times during the webinar, after any installation, it is recommended, well, more than recommended, required for you to restart your computer. As mentioned in the previous slide, the first step to installing the FDOT Connect standalone workstation is to install OpenRoads Designer Connect Edition. On the first page of the OpenRoads Designer installation dialog, there's a button at the top right. It is super easy to miss. It is called Configure, right there on that button, top right corner. You're going to select this button to set the custom configurations variable as the location where you will ultimately install FDOT Connect on the local workstation. You can select the Browse button and browse the location and even create the new empty folder if you want, to which you'll install the FDOT Connect workstation. You can see here that I've populated that field with C FDOT Connect. After specifying the custom configuration location for FDOT Connect in the OpenRoads Designer installation dialog, you can click Next and return to the installation dialog and proceed with the rest of the installation of OpenRoads Designer. And then after installing OpenRoads Designer and specifying the location of the custom configuration for FDOT Connect, which I'm repeating again, you can now launch the FDOT Connect workstation installation. During this installation, you're going to be asked for an install location, like we said, see FDOT Connect, but you'll also be prompted for a Worksets location. So FDOT Connect is going to want to know where your worksets are going to be, your projects. And like I said, Worksets is the new term for the projects folder. And there's information about this in the FAQ, but the default Worksets location that FDOT Connect wants to use is C Worksets. So just like you'd have your C projects folder, C Worksets. And we're going to talk again a little bit more about this because there's some nuances to the Worksets that you need to be aware of. And then restart your machine. Okay, what about a client server installation? For an FDOT Connect client server installation, like I said, first launch the FDOT Connect server installer on your CAD server. Make note of that location that you're installing FDOT Connect server to, and you're going to use that location value as the custom configuration location during installation. It's important to take note of these things because sometimes things can go wrong or you might miss a step, and I'm going to get into how to fix those issues later on in this webinar. There's a manual process for fixing configuration problems. After you've done that, the second step for an FDOT Connect client server installation is to install OpenRoads Designer on the client machine. And much like that workstation installation, you can follow those important steps in the FAQ and the install guide to select Configure to specify the server location of FDOT Connect. So whereas with a workstation, you're specifying a local location, with the server, client server, you're going to specify that server as the location. So don't specify the client location in OpenRoads, it's the server you're looking for. All right, after installing FDOT Connect server on your CAD server and OpenRoads Designer and client machine, then you're going to install the FDOT Connect client software on the client machine. The client installation is going to ask you some similar questions to the workstation installation. It's going to ask you for a local installation location. It's going to ask you where the FDOT Connect server folder is because it wants to know where the server folder is too, and then it'll ask you for that Worksets folder, which you can specify. Here's where it gets interesting, because up until this point, I've talked about how to install FDOT Connect as a brand new installation. But what if you've already installed OpenRoads Designer? This has happened before many times. There's many people who have just gone ahead and installed OpenRoads Designer, or alternatively, you missed a step. You forgot to click the configuration and it just zoomed right past you and you installed the OpenRoads Designer. I've done that a handful of times and thought, well, wait a second, where's my configuration option? It must have been here somewhere. And that's going to be a problem, but we can fix that. And of course, all of my monologue for this slide was already said just now. But it's a nice looking slide, isn't it? But first, as I mentioned before, if you participate in the alpha testing, I'm going to say this again, or the beta testing of FDOT ORD or FDOT Connect, please be sure to uninstall the beta or alpha software before you install the FDOT Connect software. So this might be one of those scenarios where you installed the beta or alpha software we're testing, and now you're ready to install the FDOT Connect software, the final production release. This is probably one of those scenarios where you'd have to do the manual configuration. So not just if you missed the option to configure it while you were installing it, but perhaps you already had it installed because you had a different version of our Workspace already. You'll need to uninstall that beta and alpha software. And why am I talking about the Worksets folder, deleting the Worksets folder? A lot of the project data that you may have generated during alpha and beta testing probably isn't compatible with the most recent version of OpenRoads Designer or the FDOT Connect features. So you'll need to kind of be careful about that. So here's how to manually do it. You've got OpenRoads Designer already installed. You know where you're going to install FDOT Connect, or perhaps you've already installed FDOT Connect and it's not working for you. What you'll do is you'll go to the C Program Data Bentely OpenRoads Designer CE Configuration folder. You see that path right there on my screen. You're going to open the configuration setup.cfg with Notepad, using Notepad, and you're going to locate the lines that are highlighted in this screenshot. This is in the installation guide. The most recent installation guide that is posted on the website does have these instructions. And of course, the instructions are kind of spelled out here at the top. You're going to put in your custom configuration location in these two lines. And you see right in here, I've got this set up for a standalone workstation. Because FDOT Connect installation sets, oops, hang on. I seem to have gotten ahead of myself. Or my slides have gone wrong. Hang on. Huh. Okay, great. So some of my text for these slides is a little off. So I'm going to preface this next slide by reading. So FDOT Connect installation sets two system environment variables as well. And it's not a bad idea to go ahead and check these variables after installing FDOT Connect to one of these machines that you've already had OpenRoads Designer installed to before installing FDOT Connect. And to do that, what you do is you go to the search field, and I'll show you how to do this in a minute. You go to the search field in the Windows taskbar and search for system environment variables. You can imagine me doing air quotes as I say system environment variables. You'll see a search result that says edit the system environment variables. Select that, and the system properties dialog appears. I'm going to show you all of this. You'll then select environment variables from the button at the bottom right of the dialog. You're going to locate the variables I'm going to show you on the next slide, and you're going to set them as shown. What I wanted to point out is now my notes for this are going back to this slide. We're still in the setup configuration CFG right now. Notice it's forward slashes, not backslashes. I knew there'd be at least one problem with writing my entire script for this webinar up front, knowing exactly what I was going to say rather than improvising. So there's my notes that got out of order. So here's the system environment variables window. You can see the FDOT underbar organization and FDOT Worksets. That's just showing you where FDOT Connect and the Worksets are. These normally get set during the FDOT Connect installation, so if nothing went wrong during your FDOT Connect installation, you shouldn't have to do anything about this. So in theory, you should just be able to set that setup configuration.cfg and be good to go, but Vern did want me to point out that these system environment variables are being created. So after installing FDOT Connect and completing the manual configuration of OpenRoads Designer, it is important to, just like a regular installation, restart your workstation or client machine, just as if you'd done a normal installation. Now we've completed the installation process. We've made sure that OpenRoads Designer is configured correctly. We've restarted the client or workstation machine. How do we launch FDOT Connect? First, look at your desktop. FDOT Connect creates an FDOT Connect folder on your workstation or client desktop, along with a number of desktop icons. The number of icons contained in the folder or on the desktop may vary depending on which Connect Edition products you have installed. FDOT Connect automatically creates icons to launch FDOT Connect with OpenRoads Designer, MicroStation Connect Edition, OpenBridge Modeler, if they're installed on your machine. If you only have one of those, it's only going to create icons for that specific application. It looks to see what applications you have installed. So if you say, well, I've got MicroStation Connect Edition and I don't see a Connect Edition launch icon for MicroStation, it might not have found it. There might have been something that went wrong. So check on that. So we've double-clicked on the launch icon, whether it was the FDOT Connect for OpenRoads Designer or another application. After launching by double-clicking, locate the Workspace drop-down menu in the Applications File Open screen. That sounds like a lot. You're going to locate this Workspace selection drop-down. It might say no workspace, or it might list the last workspace you used. It's probably not going to automatically say FDOT as your workspace, but you're going to select that menu and look for the FDOT option shown here. So you see no workspace. This is a brand new installation that I launched and selecting FDOT. If you don't see an option for FDOT workspace in this menu, that means the installation wasn't done correctly, and I'd recommend going back and checking the setup configuration.cfg file that we looked at earlier and check the system environment variables as well. If you do see the FDOT workspace listed, then you've done everything correctly. Select FDOT from the list of workspaces and go to the next step. After selecting the FDOT workspace from your drop-down workspace selection menu, that's a mouthful, you're now ready to create a workset. Like I said earlier, workset is the new term used for projects. Worksets are created in the FDOT subfolder of the Worksets folder. Having the subfolder allows you to organize worksets based on which workspace you're working in. So all worksets created using the FDOT workspace and the FDOT workset template will be created in the FDOT subfolder. I'll explain this a little bit more later, but worksets created using other workspaces such as like GDOT or NCDOT will be created in corresponding subfolders of the workset folder. That is, you'd have a GDOT subfolder, NCDOT subfolder, and an FDOT subfolder in that worksets folder. So to create a workset, select the Workset drop-down menu adjacent to the Workspace selection menu and select Create Workset. The Create Workset dialog appears. You're going to enter a name for your workset. For FDOT projects, this would probably be the FPID number. You can enter a workset description if you want to. Then select the FDOT workset template, which is called 0_workset_ template, as you can see right here. You can see the grayed out fields for the folder locations that the workset is being created in do show that FDOT subfolder. So in this case, my workset is called New Test Workset, which is what, when we're testing software, all worksets are called something like that. You can see that that's being created in the FDOT subfolder of the Worksets folder. Then you click OK and it creates your workset. Now that we've talked about creating a workset, I want to talk briefly about the FDOT workset template. The FDOT workset template is delivered with the FDOT Connect workspace, and it's used by OpenRoads Designer to create the FDOT folder structure for your project. You're all familiar with the FDOT folder structure. All of the DGN files in your FDOT project must be created using the Create File tool, but the Create File tool no longer works as a standalone program. It's been several maintenance releases that it hasn't worked as a standalone program, and it has to be run inside the FDOT workspace. Since you have to launch the FDOT Connect and OpenRoads Designer before you can launch the Create File tool, we've included a blank DGN file called _blankfile.dgn in the workset. This means that when you create a brand new workset, the blank file is copied to the root of your workset, so you can now open that blank file and enter the FDOT workspace to create more files using the Create File tool in your project. Does that make sense? I'll demonstrate. So all you have to do to open up that file is browse to the root of your project and select _blankfile.dgn and then click the Open button. So this is the end, or nearing the end of my PowerPoint portion of my presentation, and I'm going to do a little bit of a walkthrough of a few things. In 2 weeks, we're going to be covering more about the actual FDOT workspace, the ribbon, and the tools that are included with the FDOT Connect. But just to go over a few things now, the FDOT Connect workspace contains a customized FDOT ribbon, which may look different with the next maintenance release, slightly. We're working on that. Workflows can be selected, it can be selected from the Open Roads Modeling workflow. This is the workflow menu up here. So you select the Open Roads Modeling workflow and look for the FDOT tab. You select the FDOT tab and the FDOT ribbon will display at the top of the application window. I mentioned the Create File tool, and you can see that is located near the center of this ribbon. And that's going to be moving. I believe we're doing some changes to that. In fact, that might be an old screen cap. So now you've heard the frequently asked questions about FDOT Connect. You've learned how to install it and configure OpenRoads Designer, and you've learned how to launch FDOT Connect with OpenRoads Designer. How do you get support when you need help using FDOT Connect for your project? There's multiple ways to request support for FDOT Connect and OpenRoads Designer. You can email the FDOT CAD office. That's the best way to get a hold of all of us, is to email cad.support@dot.state.fl.us. That's CAD, CADD.support@dot.state.fl.us. That's going to go to everyone in the support section. So it's an excellent way if you have an urgent question for you to get somebody's attention. You can also go to the website, www.fdot.gov/CAD, and you'll find Request CAD Support. There's a link that takes you to the CAD Support Issue Log portal where you can submit a ticket for support. You can additionally access this portal by selecting Request CAD Support from the FDOT Connect desktop folder, which is shown in this slide. So I want to talk about the next webinar, and then I'm going to show you a few additional things. I'm going to give you a brief tour. Our next FDOT Connect webinar will be in 2 weeks at the same time on a Wednesday, September 4th. Part 3 in our series is entitled Exploring FDOT Connect, and we'll be going a little more in depth as we delve into the FDOT Connect Workspace and OpenRoads Designer, including the FDOT ribbon and various tools. So whereas I'm not really going to show you too much about the Workspace today, that'll be in 2 weeks. We're sort of spacing these webinars out a little bit. So about to do a live demonstration, but I'm going to pause on this slide so that you can write down that email address if you don't already have it. I've gotten some questions over the last 2 weeks about plans production workflows and quantities and drainage and other things that we have not released information about. And we will be covering, as we go through these topics, we will be covering those questions eventually with webinars. And our logic is, right now you have the tools available to you with FDOT Connect and OpenRoads Designer to start a project. It's not going to be for a little while that you'll need some of those plans production resources or some of the knowledge about different tools that you'll be using later on. I realize everyone wants to get the education and training as soon as they can, but we're hoping that that will be available to you by the time you need it. Because some of the tools coming from Bentely have not been completely completed yet, like the asset manager for quantities. That's one of those ones we're still working on that one with them. We anticipate by the time that you're doing quantities, that will be available to you. As a result, we're not necessarily able to really provide immediate one-on-one training on these topics. So if you contact us for training on plans production type topics, we may tell you, hang in there, we've got a webinar coming up in October that's going to cover that. I believe it is actually the webinar in October is going to cover plans production workflow. So hang in there. We will get the training to you. We have anticipated this and thought about this, but we don't necessarily have the resources to teach everyone individually until we actually have the webinar available for you. All right, so let's go look at some stuff. That's my cat, by the way. He's dressed up like a taco, because Taco Cat backwards is Taco Cat. It's a palindrome. Here we have the FDOT Connect folder that I talked about, the one that gets created on your desktop. Someone just made a cat support joke. That's my joke. I make that one during presentations at conferences. So I missed the opportunity today. So here's the FDOT Connect folder that I mentioned, just like the FDOT SS4 folder, except obviously not. And what also gets created, I'll drag these over because they're hanging out on my other screen, is I just have OpenRoads Designer installed. I don't have MicroStation Connect Edition or OpenBridge Modeler. So two icons got created on my my desktop, the FDOT Roadway and FDOT Right-of-Way workspaces for OpenRoads Designer. I can click on this, or I can click on this to launch it. There I go. And what do you know, it ends up on my other screen. If you've ever done a support call with me with one screen on GoToMeeting, I inevitably say, did that pop up on the other screen? Yeah, there you are. The first thing you see, this is the File Open splash screen. Here's that Workspace dropdown that I mentioned in that slide. You'll see I do have an FDOT option for an FDOT workspace, so I'm going to select that. If you don't see this, let's go back and check some of that configuration. It automatically selects the Workset template because it's the only Workset-like thing in my Worksets folder. Not going to open up the Workset template. Let's create a new Workset. So you see the Create Workset option. Here's that Workset dialog. I'm not sure how many numbers I need, didn't count. Oops, if I spell it right, okay. Here's the important step. Here's your template selection. Select that FDOT Workset template. Then all you have to do is click OK. You can see that it has created my workset here. It is now listed in my list of worksets available in the FDOT workspace. I want to open a file. Don't want to create a new file. I want to open a file. We do provide you with that blank file. Navigate to the root of your project. Here's that blank file.dgn that I told you about. You can see the familiar FDOT folder structure right here in your workset. Highlighted that. I'm clicking OK. And now we wait. And we continue to wait. It does take a minute. And here we go. This is the blank file, which is a bit of a misnomer because it is certainly not blank. It has our FDOT logo and some information here for you. These are your workflows. I've selected the OpenRoads modeling one. You might start off on a different one and wonder, oh, where's the FDOT tab? OpenRoads modeling. And here's the FDOT tab. And sure enough, my screen cap was definitely dated. I took that screen cap before they made some changes to the ribbon, so I do apologize. I did a update to my resources this morning. So if you're looking at my PowerPoint presentation, I'm wrong, and for that I apologize. But here you go. Here's the FDOT ribbon. You can see a lot of familiar tools. You might recognize LDM. We've got the Create File application and your support links over here. You can get CAD support directly from the ribbon. Well, the ribbon provides you access to CAD support. The ribbon's not going to provide you the actual support. It's one of us. So I mentioned the Create File application. That's here. We're going to talk way more about that in 2 weeks. But this is where you'll create all of those files for your project. And that has to be launched inside of the FDOT Connect workspace. Show you a couple other things. I mentioned the program data, Bentely, OpenRoads Designer CE, configuration setup CFG. That's where that file is that I mentioned, that if you need to manually specify the location of your custom configuration, that is this file. And it opens right up with Notepad, or alternatively, it'll prompt you to choose an application to open it with. Notepad, whatever your favorite text editor is, you can use that to open up this file and edit it. And notice, of course, it does have those forward slashes in the path name. And then just as a matter of housekeeping, you've all seen the fdot.gov/CAD CAD Office website, but I wanted to go over where some of these things are. Here's that left side of the page. Here's CAD software. Here's FDOT Connect. You see we've got SS4 and 2019, 2018. Here's Connect. The installation guide. It's a great read. I highly recommend it. And then the client server and workstation installations are all available for you. Going back to the main CAD Office webpage, we have 3 training resources here. I want to clarify which are which and what they mean. The training courses are our full training guides with the data set and with training videos. These are all based on the existing, up until recently current software, SS4 and the Autodesk Civil 3D platforms. We will be creating, as I mentioned before, the FDOT Connect training, and those will be those full courses. We're converting those full courses for FDOT Connect. They will be posted here on this page by January. They'll be posted on this page, FDOT Connect, a whole section about it with training guides, training videos, and data sets for you to perform the exercises with. The scheduled webinars, inevitably you're familiar with this because here you are on this webinar. If not, you got this through the FDOT contact mailer. This is where our list of getting started with FDOT Connect for Open Roads Designer courses are. Here we are on number 2. These are the scheduled webinars. The posted webinars are the webinars that have happened. You see that this is the recorded webinar for survey workflow for surveyors and the Q&A document. So all these questions that you're asking today in this question and answer dialogue are going to end up in a PDF. So you'll have the what's today? Introducing FDOT Connect will be the webinar available within a week or two, probably a week, and the Q&A document will be there as well. That's under posted webinars. I believe I have covered the majority of my content for today. Yeah, that was all my improvisational portion of the presentation. I'm going to look at the Q&A dialogue and see if there's anything that has not been answered. Everyone can open up that Q&A dialogue and take a look and see, some of these questions were answered publicly. And so you can go ahead and see some of those answers already now. Is there documentation for how to incorporate Projectwise with using FDOT Connect and ORD CE? The answer to that is no. We don't have any support for use of Projectwise, so you're a bit on your own on that one. I'm sorry we don't have anything for you on that one. Can you have more than one custom configuration specified in the CFG file? I was wondering if this question was going to be asked. This is a little bit of an advanced answer, so I'm trying not to phrase this in a way that's going to be confusing. But the actual location for the custom configurations is one level deeper into this folder. So let's imagine that this folder was not called FDOT Connect. This is simply called Custom Configurations. You see there's an Organization Civil folder with all of your FDOT stuff and a Workspaces folder with some FDOT stuff. What you would do is actually what's happening is the FDOT stuff is actually being installed one level deeper. This is a folder where you could install other workspaces because the other DOTs have kind of been coordinating on this so that we're all sort of doing this the same way. So you could call this Custom Configurations where you install your FDOT Connect, and then you could call it, you could install your G.dot workspace, your NC.dot, your SC.dot, other states, DOTs, the names of which I don't know, and you'd see FDOT, G.dot, SC.dot folders and config files here. And what would happen when you launch FDOT Connect, sorry, when you launch OpenRoads Designer, hoping I didn't already mess that up. When you launch OpenRoads Designer, presumably from the default icon, and you go to the Workspace selection dropdown, you would see in the custom configuration f.g.nc.sc. other DOTs. You'd see those located in this, because this folder is actually one folder deep. We went ahead and branded it as FDOT Connect, just so it'd be very, very similar to people who are familiar with installing f.ss4. But if you're getting into installing more than one configuration, you can consult with, presumably consult with Bentely on the best way to do that. But yes, it can be done, and I'd be glad to have a phone call and conversation with you about the best way to do that. That can be done in a workstation setup as well as a client server setup. So Connect Config would be a good name for the folder is one of the questions. Yeah, sure. If you're setting up multiple configurations, and again, this is, we're talking FDOT stuff here, but I'll go ahead and share this information because it's a good thing to talk about. Yeah, you can call this, you could, if you had a server installation and you wanted to dump all of your configurations here, you could call it Connect Config, Custom Configurations, Custom Connect Configurations, whatever you'd like to call that. And you just make sure that all your configuration variables are set correctly, and everybody make sure all the workspaces that you are installing are compatible with that way of doing things. And yes, that would work. What is the current version of FDOT Connect? Current version is, oh yeah, Chris already answered that one. Such a short answer, 10.1.00. Will there be a classic version of the FDOT Connect ORD that will have the current button bars as in the CAD pilot menu? No. We're all going for ribbon now. Most classes are already filled up at FLUG. Will there be more FLUG training opportunities? I'm trying to think of the other opportunities there will be. Right now, we do have that sort of planned training that we have starting next year. In January, February, we're going to go to all the districts. Those training opportunities will be available. Meanwhile, in January, you will end up with the training guides and the training videos. It'll be a robust course available online for the different topics that are currently available now. Other than that, the best way to get hit the ground running with OpenRoads Designer is to check out Bentely Learn resources. They have some non-FDOT specific training resources on practically every topic you could be looking for as far as FDOT, or sorry, I keep saying FDOT Connect, OpenRoads Designer goes. Oh, Brian Herman says plenty of sessions are still open at FLUG, but the workshops are full. What is the advantage of FDOT Connect? The advantage is this. We're moving forward to OpenRoads Designer. That is the next piece of technology, the next platform we're moving to, just in the same way that we moved from MicroStation V8 to XM and V8i, and then Select Series 2 to Select Series 4. OpenRoads Designer Connect Edition is simply the next step. So FDOT Connect is your FDOT workspace to provide you those resources to move forward with the next step in CAD. Brian Herman also points out, as far as those FLUG workshops go, waiting lists are available if you want to be on a waiting list. Okay, got a long question here. Location of our projects folder is on our server, our Z drive. In that folder, we have other folders to break projects up by year. Currently with ORD, I had to make an ORD folder that houses the project folder and the two config files. Is there ever going to be a way to have the config files in one place, such as my C drive, and the ability to modify those config files to point to the project folder in a different location? That is an excellent question, and I don't have an answer for that. That's going to be one of those ones that I'll have to do some research and possibly answer in the Q&A dialogue or Q&A document that will be posted. Otherwise, I'll start a ticket for you. I can answer the question of, is there ever going to be a way? And the answer to that is possibly. Someone has pointed out that the date on the download site says July 26th, even though we did update on August 9th. I'll get that fixed. That is definitely a typo. What about structures projects? We are working on OpenBridge Modeler, hoping to move that forward for structures. And that will be something you'll see more and more about as we continue to develop for that. How come the mandatory for Connect Edition ORD is so far out? That's a good question. We had initially kind of thought about making it mandatory by this coming January 2020. But we thought it was probably more realistic to push things out to 2021. That gives us time to perfect the workflow, work with Bentely on getting some of these tools finished, and ensure that the training is available before we say, okay, you've got to use this. Is drainage integration part of ORD, or is that separate like geopack drainage? That's going to be done with SUDA. We are developing resources for that as we speak, hoping to have that incorporated into the next maintenance release. So there will be some drainage tools. Can your folder structure be Project-Worksets? Sure. You can have your Worksets folder as a subfolder of your projects folder if you'd like. It is going to create that FDOT subfolder inside of Worksets. So you'll have that going on. I know that a couple of districts are creating their Worksets folder as the projects folder that currently exists, and that's creating that FDOT subfolder in there, which still sort of isolates their Open Roads projects, FDOT Connect projects, pretty nicely. Will we be able to have taskbar-driven icons for FDOT tools, or is it only available from the ribbon? We are going to go ahead and keep developing this ribbon to make it as user-friendly as possible and as intuitive as possible. I anticipate that the ribbon is going to stay the ribbon. We don't have any plans to do any other customization. Will the Q&A section be posted with the webinar? It absolutely will be. I will be saving this Q&A and posting it with the actual correct answers. Okay, someone asked about OpenFlows. Is that anticipated drainage design tool? I have not heard it discussed, so I don't have any information about that. Someone says, it seems that Open Roads is looking more like AutoCAD. Why should I stay with Bentely? That's an excellent question. I'm glad you asked it. I cannot provide a impartial answer to you, because I am not allowed to make recommendations on things like that. So there you go. Let's see. OpenBridge Modeler is a separate software than Open Roads. Yes, OpenBridge Modeler is, the way I describe things is, you have, if you look at the Select Series 4 products, you have MicroStation and Geopack, and then you have Power Geopack. Power Geopack's like a cheeseburger. MicroStation and Geopack is the burger and the cheese separately. So you can have a burger with cheese or a cheeseburger. Great analogy, right? Open Roads Designer is the cheeseburger for civil design, for roads, open roads, in fact. Whereas you still have your MicroStation Connect edition. OpenBridge Modeler is the bridge cheeseburger. It's that MicroStation Connect edition with the bridge modeling tools built into it. So you'd launch it just like you're launching Open Roads Designer, but it is a completely different installation. So it is a standalone, by itself, bridge modeling tool. Looks a lot like Open Roads Designer. Will projects already started in SS4 continue to be supported beyond January 2021? This is something that we have anticipated and thought about. It's by January 2021, we're hoping it's on a case-by-case basis. We do have plans to be able to provide resources to finish these projects, but we will deal with them on a case-by-case basis. I understand that some projects can tend to linger for a little while. How will QC of the FDOT project be handled in ORD? Very similar to the way it's handled now. Someone's calling me. Very similar to the, I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Very similar to the way we're doing things in Select Series 4. There is a QC application, looks very, very similar, if not exactly the same as the one in Select Series 4. And then there is a new file checker program that we are in the process of developing. So there will be QC for ORD and FDOT Connect. Okay, another question here. FDOT Connect will install components to both the OBM and ORD folder installs, or do I need to make the same config change to pre-existing OBM install? Okay. If you have OpenBridge Modeler, but basically the process for installing OpenBridge Modeler is the same as the process for installing OpenRoads Designer. You would, if you want to have both of them, you'd have to install both OpenRoads Designer and OpenBridge Modeler at the same time. Not at the same time, but sequentially first. And then you'd specify the location of FDOT Connect. Afterwards, you'd install FDOT Connect. It would find both OpenRoads Designer and OpenBridge Modeler and create those icons. Alternatively, if you wanted just OpenBridge Modeler, you would install OpenBridge Modeler, point it to where your ultimate location of your installation would be, and then install FDOT Connect. And that would locate OpenBridge Modeler and create that OpenBridge Modeler icon. Failing that, of course, you could install OpenBridge Modeler, install FDOT Connect, and then go back and manually configure it to find OpenBridge Modeler. Have I referred to OpenRoads Designer and also MicroStation Connect? Yes. OpenRoads Designer and MicroStation Connect Edition are both supported by the FDOT Connect software, or rather, FDOT Connect supports the use of both of those platforms. Okay, any other questions that I can answer right now? Well, we're actually one past the hour, so I'm going to go ahead and call this a completed webinar. I do want to thank you all for joining me here today on introducing FDOT Connect, the second part of our ongoing webinar series. Please join us in 2 weeks on Wednesday, September 4th at 10 a.m. for exploring FDOT Connect, a further journey into the workspace for OpenRoads Designer. Thanks, everyone, and have a wonderful day.